So we've been talking about, Shohei Otani and then which New York Yankees should be considered for extensions, right? Contract extensions at this point or in the near future. I want to talk about now just a bunch of the stars or superstars in baseball or top players in baseball that will be wise to be considered for extensions before they get ridiculously expensive. So, and contracts aren't going down. I don't think the union in baseball is going to agree to some kind of hard cap or like the NBA 4-year monster deal or whatever, because that's just, I don't see it happening. So let's go over some guys here. First one's Jesse Winker from the Cincinnati Reds. He's not a free agent until 2024, but he's been getting a little bit better every year. And I think in 2024 he's going to be about 31 years old. So he's having a kind of a breakout season. He's a lefty bat, first baseman. It might be, and again, these are some guys that might be a good idea for their teams to maybe buy out a couple years of arbitration and maybe tack on a couple years on the back end of free agent years. And because again, not every player will get this guaranteed contract once they become a free agent. So some of them will prefer the stability of buying out a couple years and having a few years tacked on, because it's the same thing as a 6 or 8 year deal or whatever. And teams, a lot of them would rather pay. And I said this last video with the Yankees. Teams would rather pay for your 25 to 33 years instead of your 31 to 39 years. That makes obvious sense. So the timelines can make sense for a lot of these players too. And again, some of them prefer the security. Some teams would prefer obviously the younger years if they can get them, more prime years than non-prime years, and it makes sense. So, and these guys are kind of prime candidates for it. The next guy is Trae Turner. He's 28 now. After next year, he'll be 29. So he'll be missing his shortstop free agent bonanza. He'll be 28, I think, next year. So, at the end of 2022. And he'll be missing that bonanza by 1 year. This ridiculous one that's going to be going on this year with 4 of the 5 superstar shortstops heading towards free agency. Corey Seager, Trevor Story, Baez, and who am I missing? Carlos Correa. Lindor's already been locked up to that monster deal. So, Trae Turner's a legitimate superstar. I could see the Dodgers potentially extending him before it gets to this point, because I don't see them. I don't think they would have brought him over here if they were planning on extending Corey Seager. I think Seager's going to walk in free agency, and Trae Turner is his replacement, period. So, I see Seager getting paid as well. So, if I didn't mention Seager, it's no one. Both of them are going to get paid. So, but it might be wise for them with him. But their payroll is like almost $300 million now with the Scherzer and Trae Turner acquisition. It's crazy. Next one up is Matt Olson, stud left-handed first baseman from the A's. I think he's right now is 27, and he'll be 30 by the time he's a free agent. As we know, the A's generally don't lock up their players to long-term deals. They trade them away and get more prospects, and they keep developing guys who become superstars, but they only capitalize on a couple of those seasons, and they trade them away, get more guys here, and it's just kind of rinse and repeat with the A's. And they're still potential playoff powerhouses every year, but unfortunately, they don't commit long-term money for their big stars. So, and I don't see any difference here with Matt Olson. So, with 2.5 more seasons, does it make sense to trade him in the offseason and get a haul? Because the quicker you do it with these guys having 2 or 3 years of control, the more of a ransom you'll get back. And this guy's a stud, an absolute stud. So, and I've actually mentioned him as a possibility for the Yankees, but they have Anthony Rizzo now, and I think it would be wise for them to stay with him. But this guy would be an asset to all 30 teams in baseball, and it would make sense for the A's to jump on it if they can get a good offer, or either if they're going to extend them again, you tack on a couple years on the back end, 3 or 4 years on the back end. And if you offer to buy out a couple years arbitration, you're going from his 27 to 34 years or whatever it is. And again, some players would prefer the security of a deal of that magnitude, especially if it's going to be a 9-figure deal. And all the guys that I mentioned are going to get 9-figure deals so far. So as long as Winker keeps performing the way he is, Turner's going to get it. Olson's going to get it. So there's no doubt about it from somebody. Next up is Freddie Freeman. He's a free agent at the end of the season. So he's going to get it from somebody, but to me, the Braves, I don't know if he's going to re-sign with the Braves. I think the Braves, again, should have offered him an extension And he's also, I think he's 30 or 31, so I don't expect him to get a monster extension, but he's a reigning MVP from last year, so he'll get something robust, that's for sure, and he's still a top-level player. So, this is a situation where, if I were the Braves GM or Anthopoulos, right, I would have offered him an extension like 2 years ago. Let's tack on 4 more years to your deal, or whatever. The Yankees did it with Sabathia, so he wouldn't opt out. They did it with Chapman, so he wouldn't opt out. So I would have done it with Freeman. Josh Hader's up next, not a free agent until 2024. At that point, he'll be, I think, 30, but still an elite producer, an elite reliever, lefty. He's been an asset to the Brewers, a big-time asset who are now a contending team. So does it make sense for the Brewers to buy out these last 2 years and then give him another 2 on the back end or another 3 in the back end? At the end of his contract, he'll be 33. There are guys now who are still getting big deals at 33. So it's a thought. Or he might be one of these guys to ride out and then, jump to free agency at 30 and hopefully get a $100 million deal. That might happen too. The other pitcher I was going to talk about from the Brewers is Brandon Woodruff. Starter, he's going to be a free agent in 2025. So there's still 3.5 years of control. A little under 3.5, but this is another guy. You tack on, you buy out those years of arbitration, you add a couple on the back end, and now he's under a nice 5 to 6 year deal. Because at some point too, with these players, if their performance starts to decline a little bit, they're not going to get what they want in free agency. So, that's a gamble on both sides, obviously. So teams gamble on their production. Players are gambling on, the production getting them a contract. So it is a gamble on both sides, no doubt about it. Carlos Rodon has been a valuable asset to the Chicago White Sox. He's on 1-year deals. They're free agent at the end of the season. Maybe he's waiting to sign a longer-term deal with somebody else this offseason, but it's been great this year. He's thrown a no-hitter, and I could see him getting probably a 3 or 4 year deal. And he's not that old either, so I could see him even he's a pitcher who might require a 5th year. Who knows? If he keeps producing the way he is, somebody will probably give him a 5th year. I was surprised at the White Sox, so he only signed a 1-year deal with the White Sox. I was very surprised. But now, big timer, Juan Soto from the Nationals. I know the Nationals cleaned house, and obviously they're going to build around him and the young Keibert Ruiz and Josiah Gray, and who's adding to that rotation with Steven Strasburg, so hopefully he comes back from his surgery, and Patrick Corbin and some of these other young folks. So he's obviously a building block player. So if I were them, I would jump all over this now. He's a free agent in 2025, but just like Fernando Tatis, you buy all that out and you tack on a big extension. Make sure that he's here. Do not let him get the free agency. He's 22 now. When he's a free agent in 2025, he'll be 26, so he'll get a mammoth contract at that point. That bigger than Bryce Harper, bigger than Trout. If he keeps performing, he's going to blow them contracts out of the water. So they need to lock him up, and they need to lock him up yesterday. But again, that's my opinion there. Jose Ramirez, another one, a superstar. Okay, he's a free agent in 2024, so he's got 2 more full years. He's only 27 years old of control, and again, he's one of the top players in the game. This is a guy. He's made gold for the Indians, and the Indians have to decide whether they're going to compete or not. And if they're going to not compete, then, you trade the guy, get a haul back. If they want to compete, then he's a guy you buy those 2 years out, you tack on another 4 or 5 years on the back. And you know what you're getting with him. And the Indians know. They know him well. He knows the Indians well. So he's a guy, another one I would lock up to an extension. He's worth it. Next up is Aaron Judge from the Yankees. After next year, he's a free agent 2023. Again, he hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy for an entire season since his rookie season. I think it's 2017 where he hit 52 home runs. That year, he played like 150-something games. He is not playing over 112 games since then. I've said this in videos. It's driving people crazy. And I know he's a merchandise machine for the Yankees. I get it. He brings in a lot of money. But so does winning a World Series. Okay? And that's the bottom line. They have to decide, do they need him to win the World Series? If not, then you move him and you get a lot of value back for him. Okay, with 1 year left. Somebody will pay a boatload for him. Or you decide, he's going to be 31. He's not like he's going to be 26 like Soto or like some of these other guys, 27, 28. He's going to be 31, barking on 32 or knocking on 32. Different ball game. He's a big guy. And again, at some point he's going to probably slow down and they're going to need to transition him to DH, right? He's going to be blocked by Giancarlo Stanton, who's going to be here for like another 6 years. So what are they going to do with him? If they're going to extend him again, he's getting expensive too through arbitration. So do they give him a 4-year deal on the back end with a couple of team options? I mean, that's what I would do if I was going to keep him. No more than if I would not be giving him an 8 or 10-year deal. There is not a way in the world I would give him an 8 or 10-year deal. Sorry, love Judge. I'm a Yankee fan, but no way. Okay, 1 season he's played, a full season, 1. No bueno. Okay. And last but not least is Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's also 22 now. He's not a free agent until 2026. He'll be 27. Do the same thing like I asked, like suggest the National do with Soto. You buy out those years. You lock him. You just add 8 years on the back end of that, and it puts him on a 12-year deal. One of the young dynamic superstars, him, Tatis, Soto. These guys are the faces of the game. You lock him up, and you make sure that he never becomes a free agent. Okay, he's probably. Him and Soto and even maybe Trae Turner. All 3 of them might get 300 plus, which is going to be insane money. But again, Guerrero's 22 now. You lock him up now, and you give him. You're getting his whole entire prime, everything. Okay. Same thing with Soto, whole entire prime and everything. So it makes sense to lock up those guys. Those guys are no-brainers. But do they wait? Because they're going to get, these guys are going to break arbitration records too, and it's going to be pretty much just as much as they would get under a freaking contract. So do you want to set that precedent too, just continually breaking these arbitration records, making it difficult for other teams to hold on to their players? And is that what they want to do? Maybe. But this is my list. Let me know what you think. What would you do? What do you think they should do? This is a time I kind of want to trigger a conversation about this because I think it's important and what I feel about locking up young guys. I'd much rather lock up a 22-year-old than a 28-year-old. I'd much rather lock up a 28-year-old than a 32-year-old. So it just depends on who the guy is, team situation, team's finances, and does it make sense? So you let me know what you think, guys.